Not every family is safe, and not everyone who hurts you is a stranger. Sometimes the most toxic patterns come from the people who raised us, and nobody talks about how hard it is to break that cycle, isn't it? Hi, welcome to the Rodak podcast. My name is Dr.MUKUND, and today we will talk a lot about this episode. This is called as Toxic Family Patterns Breaking the Cycle. Yeah, this is kind of not trying to blame anyone here. We are trying to understand why they are the way they are, and most of these things happen because most of those families, they don't heal from what they have been through. And we're not trying to blame anyone, but also just trying to understand what is going on behind, and also trying to navigate with a positive attitude. So with no further ado, I welcome you all, and we will go through step by step, and we will try to deal everything that goes in this episode, and I will sequentialize every part of it in a way so that we can all try to understand a little bit and navigate through as much as we can. So, what are toxic family patterns? There are some key points I'm gonna touch in this segment. So, like, let's just say control disguised as care. That's one. They use guilt as currency, conditional love, emotional invalidation, and financial or emotional dependence used as leverage. The final one, the most, this one I like it the most because I see it, and everybody says that everybody experienced that gaslighting. Yeah, the gaslighting thing. That's my personal favorite because that's the ultimate stage these families use to get leverage on the children. So yeah, let's just get into this, and we'll go through, and we will discuss only what's necessary in each thing, and we'll move on further. All right. So yeah, control disguised as care. It's like their family members, they show like the uh, the care thing is basically putting restrictions on everything that you want to do, and they basically want to control everything. Like literally, like if you want to go out, they want to know where you are going, what you are doing, and if you want to do something, they want to know everything basically. They say it's a care, but it's basically most of the time it's control disguised as care on most scenarios. They just think they know everything because they have lived a long life, and they don't allow their kids to experience the world with their own experiences. And what happens is, the more they control, the more they outgrow their own families, and the control will turn soon enough as a pressure, and that's how the toxicity increases in the child's brain. And that is basically disguised as care. Like, I do this for you, I do that for you, no, it's not. As a parent, you need to focus on what your child needs, not whatever you want to offer to them, because whatever you're going to offer to them, it doesn't matter at some point. Because they outgrow everything at certain points, and they do love to have their own individual lives at some point. And most of these families, they don't want to let that happen at all, no matter what, because they are basically very much used to this pattern that have that's a thing, and also moving on, they use guilt as a currency. Like how many people have been there, like they literally use the guilt factor as leverage on you, because I have did this for you, I have done that for you, I have sacrificed my life for you, all this kind of stuff. I know 9 out of 10 people on a daily basis they hear this in their own families, because when I have talked with uh, so many patients at different confined states, the truth actually comes out, and it's true. Like in parents' brain, it is like we are doing everything for the child. Then why don't we have an autonomy? True, you should have it until certain point of time, like 18 years or 20 years max, and after that you need to let them make their own decisions, because the moment you start controlling everything, that when your child loses autonomy and freedom, that you know it creates a long-term ripple effect, and you will be labeled as toxic soon enough. Yeah, you might think that might be you are doing your best, but you have to understand they are a human being too, and they are evolving at a larger pace too. So there you go. And the other one is conditional love, and many of us been there, seen that. I will only help you if you stand with me. I will only do this for you only if you are supporting whatever I am saying. The moment you contradict them, that's when everything turns. Like the love factor will just disappear, and then everything is basically conditioned. Like if you do this for me, then I will do this for you. If you do this for me, especially this happens when the kids are growing up and they are in their early 20s or mid 20s. You can observe this pattern in most of the families, unfortunately. Like they like to control everything, and in the name of for example, if you need some financial help from your family and you decide to have your own life, but unfortunately something happened and you do not want to, now you wanted to go and ask for help, that's when they will turn against you, and then they will be like, I'm just giving an example. There are a lot more which I do not want to discuss on camera, because it will turn into explicit content, and some things are not, not really good to hear, because I know most of the people of my audience are in their early 20s, and they might get a wrong idea about everything in general, which I don't want that to happen. But we are just trying to sort out things here in a very healthy way, not to take or not to blame anyone in this, but just to educate how things are happening on a deeper level on both parties. That's all. And the other one is emotional invalidation. Basically, how these toxic parents behave is like, whatever you say, they'll be like, mm, mm, mm-hmm, 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 something like that. That's the funny thing, because no matter what this child or young people say to their kids, like trying to have a conversation, this, that, and so on and so forth, nothing. They'll be like, they use silence as a leverage there to invalidate your emotions and invalidate your opinion for no reason, because they don't have any reason. The only reason they have is you are not listening to them. That's all. The moment that happens, right away, they don't care much, because now they are worried about power and leverage at this point. Those toxic parents, most of them, unfortunately, that's true, and it's very hard to navigate. especially the kids that going through. And the other one is a financial or emotional dependence used as leverage. Let's just say that uh, if you need, for example, if you need some sort of financial help for whatever reason, even though they are in a capable state to, simply help you out just like that, and uh, change your life, but they won't. They will be very very happy to see you suffer rather than help you at all. Yeah, these things are real, and these things happen to almost 7 out of 10 people in most case scenarios. Because if you ask those toxic parents, all they are going to say is one simple thing: because my kid did not listen to me, he needs to or she needs to suffer. That's basically, financial. Yeah, they are taking the power over the finances and using against their own child to get them back. And the final favorite one, gaslighting. No matter what you say, they will not hear. They will only just try to pinch you, gaslight you, gaslight you, gaslight you, because they know, they think, those toxic parents, they think, or families, they think they know everything about you. But what they forgot is that every child at some point, they grow up, grow up, grow up, and they evolve beyond that thing. And sometimes, these toxic people, they don't understand the fact that they think they can play them forever. But the moment the kid or the child or the young person fully awakes and wants to step away, once they do, they are done. Why I'm saying all this is because when dysfunction becomes normal, you don't basically recognize whether it's a toxic thing or not. You just feel like it's just a home. 90% or majority of the percent of people, they don't know what is actually toxic. Because see, I am a doctor, I can differentiate all these things in a different way on so many levels, but most people, they really can't, because most people are stuck at some point, like they are my parents end of the day and I have to be there, and so on and so forth. True, I'm not saying it's a wrong thing, but you need to keep something in mind. It's going to be very hard on so many people, but the fact is, the moment things turns toxic, we cannot change them, because most toxic people, they don't know they are toxic in the first place, and that's the actual problem. And those people really don't want to change anything. They are there. And in this situation, the only thing you can do actually is to step out of that toxic environment and restart your life from the beginning. That's the best thing to do, to be honest. Yeah, because these people will never change, because they don't want to change. Change scares them a lot at so many levels, so no, that doesn't happen on the most cases, because in order for you to change, you have to sit down, listen, and understand the other people's, how they are going through the things, and so on and so forth. But no, most people, they don't want to, because all they think is, I know everything. That's how these toxic families runs, and they blindly invalidate everything that their kids are trying to communicate in the first place. So as long as that gap exists, so nothing moves in the first place. So unfortunately, that's the thing. Alright, let's just move on to the next thing: how these patterns repeat across generations. This is where a little bit we will go into depth. Okay, let's talk about what your parents been through. Let's just say parents, they are basically repeating what their parents done to them. All right, because your parents are your parents basically went through a lot of trauma silently, and they endured it and just kept it for so long. They did not heal one bit because they don't know they have been through trauma in the first place. That's number one thing. And that's why they just stick into the old patterns, saying we experienced it, we are fine. That's the most funniest part, right? We experienced it, we are just doing fine. But yeah, it's not their mistake completely, but their generation's been through a lot than we imagine, and they're basically on a day-to-day survival basis in first place, and it's very hard for them to even hear the fact. Naming it as a trauma itself is a, they'll be like, what? So everything, if you understand how these toxic families basically operate, they don't operate on logic, they don't operate on most positive attributes, they basically operate on fear based. The fear is the thing that controls everything else, and that's why they become the toxic, because their whole nervous system is like fear based. Everything is like they're basically in survival mode constantly, and they are fear based, and the decisions, control, everything comes through fear, 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 fear. That's the underlying core thing of these parents or these generations, that they are actually deep rooted in them and do not want to go within them and do the inner work to correct themselves. That's the actual problems. That's why I tell these people are not born evil, or they were basically unhealed children that they grew up and had authority. That's the thing. That's the core thing I want to say here. Because I will repeat that again. Most toxic parents or the generations, they're basically not actually evil on the most scenarios, but they are the unhealed children who grew up and had some authority. That's the messed up part. And it takes not just a day or two, it takes months to years of trauma to be unloaded, and to heal these things will really take a very long time. Because the more you try to explain them, their brain goes in a totally different direction. That's the part I'm trying to reframe. Okay, I hope you get my point. That's the powerful thing you need to understand there. All right, number 4, let's move on. The cost of staying in the same cycle. This is the emotional core thing. Like what else I can tell? Yeah, let's just say like this. You will be like develop this thing called self-doubt. You have that by, if you are in these toxic family patterns, you are inbuilt with chronic self-doubt. Literally, if you want to do anything, first thing your toxic family is gonna talk about negative things, not the positive ones. And you might be turned like a people pleaser, fear of independence, feeling stuck despite efforts, guilt when choosing yourself, the confusion of loving people who harm you. If you remember this, people who grew up in a toxic family end up attracting toxic people in their life, because your brain has a sequence of pattern that has already there in the software kind of thing, and you basically end up attracting with the same kind of patterns again and again. That's why you can hear this. I have somehow, people say this all the time. I have somehow literally attracted the same nervous or same pattern of my mother or my father, which they are very very toxic to me, and somehow I ended up in the same. Yeah, that's the thing. That's a little bit, we can say, like if you grew up in a toxic environment, and you naturally think that's the right thing, and it's very hard for you to realize this is not the right thing to do, and that hurts a lot, but uh, that's the process, bro. This is the hardest part. The hardest part is isn't actually living a toxic family. It's basically actually accepting that love shouldn't feel like survival. Yeah, it's a kind of a deep. I know all I talk is a deeper versions of everything in my podcast. I need to tell this people, like if you're just, you think if it's a normal thing, no it's not. You need to sit down peacefully and understand bit by bit. You need to watch it or go back again and again and again, because the core damage is at like a deeper levels, not on the surface levels. So that's why I try to tell this. The hardest part, I will repeat this again, the hardest part isn't living a toxic family. The hardest part is accepting that love shouldn't feel like survival, especially when it comes to your own family. And that's why you hear the stories like some people gonna say, I don't have any connections with my family members. We love them, but from a far distance. We don't wanna be associated with them because they have very toxic traits and so on and so forth. This is true, guys. You need to understand that not everyone have the privilege of having a good family, unfortunately. Some people have to come through this toxicity at various levels, and it's life is not same for everyone, and it's a different journey for those who are going through that, and that's very unfortunate. But it takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of time, effort, and in the process you might lose so many things, including yourself, and you have to restart everything again at a different scale, and so on and so forth. It's not an easy thing to do, but kind of necessary thing to do, unfortunately. That's very unfortunate, but gotta do what you gotta do. Let's move on to the breaking the cycle. This part should be liberating you, basically, whoever suffering, not just being aggressive or showing anger on them. Because imagine your toxic family is like a wall, right? If you punch the wall hard, do you think the wall going to get hurt, or you are going to get hurt? Get the analogy? Imagine the wall is your toxic family. You're trying to punch them, means trying to communicate. I'm just using metaphor here, okay? And that's how it will be. That's how it's going to be, unfortunately. So what we need to do, how to break this? Number one, you need to have awareness before action. Yes, the most important thing is awareness, not action. If you take any other action or anything towards them, that will only affect you negatively. So that's useless, baseless for your mental health, physical health, or overall well-being in general. And number two, boundaries without explanation. And number three, choosing distance. Mind you, choosing distance may not necessarily be like hatred or anything. You just choose peace over changing them, that's all. And healing doesn't actually require reconciliation at most parts. And finally, I would like to tell you can respect your elders without surrendering your life. That's all I'm trying to tell there. But it's very, very difficult to navigate when you're in the cycle of this toxic family. And I would like to tell you, once you understand your family is toxic, you basically don't need to hate them forever or anything, because they have their reasons to become who they become. True, but you have a choice. I mean, hate is such a negative emotion to hold, because if you hold any negative emotions within your nervous system, it will bring you down. That's why I'm not. You can hate them, you can tell whatever you want to tell to you, but holding any certain emotions for very, very long time will bring you down, not them down. Understand? We are trying to navigate here, not trying to take any sides or blame anyone here. Okay, so the reason why I'm telling all this, because basically the toxic families refuse to understand they are basically nothing but a unhealed version of their own traumas. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyways, now I would like to share a little stories that I have heard, and also had heard from their own families on a different two different families, but similar problems and two different outcomes basically. Okay, family A. Okay, right. Family A, suddenly father passed away, mother and a kid, teenage kid, let's just say, and they have some financial crisis and stuff like that. And this is the thing, they try, mother and the kid, they are trying their best to do some jobs, pay off the debt, and so on and so forth. That's a positive attribute, even though they had incurred a loss of a human being in their own family, and they try to navigate in a very positive approach. That's a good example for a healthy family, and kudos to the whole family members. The same thing, opposite. I'll give one family B. Someone major passed away, same scenario, but now both the child and the teenage kid and mom, they both hate each other at different levels. Mom basically blames everything on their dad who passed away, and she refused to do anything, to take any responsibility and whatsoever. And now even the teenage kid he's teenage kid, he doesn't know anything, so he's also like blaming everything on the dads and so on and so forth. Now what I'm trying to tell is, they don't have a good family system. That's why now when the problem comes, when the difficult time comes, that's when you understand you've been in a toxic family for a very, very long time. Now the teenage kid is doing all the wrong things, and this mother is not taking any control or charge of the situation, and everything is messed up. See, the same different things, but how healthy families shapes out differently even though it's a difficult situations, and how toxic families literally breaks down once at some point, you know. That's kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately these things are really happening everywhere, and people are being very affected because people think a problem makes a family break down into pieces. Not actually. Problem doesn't actually make any family break down. Problems reveals a lot of stuff about our own family, like how they're gonna stand up when things are so bad, and so on and so forth. And like, the problem just amplifies the core thing they are hiding for a very long time. Basically, that's the thing. Most families try to, keep under the cover and think they are the best things, but the moment uncertainty and problems push through their life, things comes to surface, and that's when they know that things are really bad within. So there comes a certain point in everyone's life, like staying loyal to a dysfunctional families is more dangerous than walking alone itself. Let that sink in for a while. Yeah. Alright. This is how I wanna close it. Redefine your family, basically. Like, I'm gonna say this, so take it. Family isn't who controls you, family is who allows you to grow. And sometimes breaking the cycle is the most loving thing you will ever do it for yourself. And if you're in your 20s, and for the generations to come after you. Let that sink in. And that's it from me today in this episode. I hope it helped you one way or another to navigate somehow. Now, recently I would like to say something to the audience, right? I have recently started this video podcast things very recently, and the response is very good, really good. I'm loving it. So thank you all for your love and attention, and your love and attention will keep this going on and on. I am from the beginning, I'm trying to tell one thing, that I do not want to bore you all with more scientific stuff, because the moment I go deeper into the scientific stuff, you will all feel like it's a lecture again. So I would like to keep it as real as possible, trying to connect with different life experiences, with my patients and everything I have learned so far, and connecting to the real world, which can help you one way or another, is the whole purpose of this podcast to begin with. So my intentions are that, and that's why I would like to thank you all, and feel free to comment in your favorite platforms. And this is Dr. Mukund. I'll catch you up in the next one. Until then, take care.